All right, class. Today we're going to be speaking on the topic innocent until proven guilty. Innocent until proven guilty. I know a lot of you have heard that expression before. And basically, what that means is whenever you're accused of a crime, you're innocent until whoever is accusing you can prove that you are guilty. So understand that if you are ever in a situation where someone is accusing you of a crime. So today the topic of the presentation is innocent until proven guilty. Now I want you to understand there is no reason to stop this presentation. I want you to play the video without having to stop it. I'm going to give you more than enough time to rephrase each slide in your own words. It's very, very important that you do not copy my slides. And it's very, very important that you are paying attention to the video and understanding each thing that is being discussed. All right. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and give you a minute to copy the title of the presentation, and then we'll be moving on to the learning goal as you already know. All right, everybody, as most of you are familiar with, this is your learning goal. This is your learning goal. So everybody go ahead and read the red. Ready? One, two, three. Analyze that are given to who have been of a crime or, okay. So before you copy this down, give me a second. Everybody go ahead and put your pencils or pens down and just listen to the presentation. So first thing you need to do as a student is understand that you're going to be analyzing something. What exactly is this lesson supposed to have you analyze? It's going to have you analyze constitutional rights. What does that mean? Those are rights given to you based on the Constitution. Those are rights that are really entitled to you based on the Constitution. And these rights are given to individuals who have been accused of a crime. So just as individual rights are given to everybody who is an individual, these rights are specific to people who have been accused of a crime or a civil offense. Now, we understand that a civil offense involves contracts and things of that nature, or things that are not necessarily illegal, but people are found liable in civil offenses. However, a crime, we understand, the consequence of a crime a lot of times is that there will be jail time served or a fine or a penalty, financial or otherwise, will be handed down. So this is your learning goal. We're going to analyze these constitutional rights, rights that are entitled to us based on the Constitution. I'm going to give you a minute to go ahead and write down your learning goal. No need to stop the video. You can just have your full minute and use it. There is no really need to stop the video throughout the whole thing. I'm giving you more than enough time to play the video straight through. There's going to be times when I'm not going to be saying anything for a minute and a half, and even 2 minutes. But I want to give you your full time to do this. I want you to ask yourself, What is a standard? A lot of you probably came up with your own definition, and you probably said, well, a standard is a level that I'm working toward, or a level that I'm trying to achieve. And I want you to take that same definition or that same description of what a standard is in your mind and what you already knew. And I want you to apply it to the legal principle of standard of proof. Basically, the standard of proof is the level of certainty and the amount of evidence necessary to establish proof in a criminal or civil case. The standard of proof is different depending on the type of case it is. For example, the standard of proof for a criminal case is that of reasonable doubt. What does that mean? That means the prosecutor has to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. The prosecutor has the burden of proof. When you take a little bit of time, think of that phrase, the burden of proof. In your mind, a burden is something that's very hard or something that is heavy. So when we speak of the burden of proof, we are speaking of the job, the hard job of proving that somebody did something. Now, in a criminal case, who has that burden? The prosecutor has the burden. The prosecutor has the burden to prove that whoever he or she is accusing absolutely did what they are being accused of. It is not the job of the defense to prove that they did not do something, but in fact, it is the job of the prosecutor to prove that an offense or a crime had been committed. This standard of proof in a criminal case is very different than in a civil case. In a civil case, you have to prove based on the preponderance of evidence. In other words, your evidence have to be more believable than not. Notice, the wording is different. You don't have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt in a civil case. But in a civil case, you just have to be more believable than not. And this is the standard of proof we are holding all parties in, or the prosecuting party or the accusing party of, in each type of case. I'm going to give you a minute to summarize this slide in your own words. Go ahead, take a minute. Remember, I said don't copy my slides. Write this, summarize this slide in your own words. How do you do that? You look at the words in red. See if you have a basic understanding of what it means, and then put what you understand about the words in red in as much detail in your notes. Don't copy my slide word for word. Make your notes your notes. You have about 10 more seconds, and then I'm going to switch the slide. All right, moving along. I want you to think about this question. Why might determining standard of proof in a case involving juveniles be difficult? I'll give you a minute. Think about it. Take some time and think. Continue thinking. Think deeper. Why is this such a very difficult thing to do? Determining the standard of proof in a juvenile case. Why might this be difficult? Here's a hint. What makes you determine the standard of proof in a criminal case? What's the first thing you have to do to determine that? What helps you determine the standard of proof in a civil case? What's the first thing you have to establish before you determine the standard of proof? All right. Now that we thought about the question, I want you to take a minute and write about it. Go right ahead. Okay, now that we thought about it, we wrote about it. What I want you to do is with the person in front of you, go ahead and express your answers. Express your answer with them. Listen to what they have to say as they will listen to what you have to say. If you disagree, then let them know respectfully using academic language that you disagree and explain in detail why. Have a discussion about the answer so that you can both get other points of views. Put that pencil or pen down. This is not the time to write. This is a time to pair up with your partner and express yourself using your words. You thought I wasn't watching you. All right, if you hear me clap once, if you hear me clap twice, all right, heads up, eyes forward, everybody. Now that we thought about the question, now that we wrote our answers down, now that we paired up where we had a chance to collaborate and learn from each other, now what I would like to do is maybe 2 or 3 of you, if you can share with the class what your partner said and exactly what you said. Oh, what about you? Ah, that was a very stupid answer. I'm just kidding. All right, person number 2, go ahead and share what you wrote. That answer is absolutely wrong. No, seriously, it's a wrong answer. All right, person number 3, what did you write? Sorry, I wasn't listening. The next the next constitutional right we have and we're going to discuss is the right to a public trial. And The person who is accused of a crime or an offense also has the right to receive a public trial. This process must be seen by the public so that it's more fair to the accused person. I'll give you about a minute. Go ahead and sum up this slide the way you understand it. I see you copying my slide. Tighten up. All right, this is the time where you got to think deep. Everybody, put your thinking caps on. What dangers can arise if a trial is held in private? How might making a trial public address these dangers? I'll give you a minute to answer this question in as much details as possible. Another right that an accused person has is the right to have a trial by jury. It is important for this jury to be impartial. But you might be saying, Mr. Man, what does impartial mean? Impartial means that the jury should not be prejudiced or biased against the accused individual. In other words, let's say they remember the last time they were robbed, it was done by someone with tattoos. If the person on trial has tattoos, they should not make that affect how they view this person. The decision that they come up with should be based on evidence and evidence alone. They should also not use a bias to allow this person that's being accused to just be acquitted. They might say, well, this person looks like my cousin, or this person looks like my mother or my father. That is also a bias. That is also them favoring or not favoring based on something other than evidence. Whenever you are a juror, whenever you are serving on a jury, your decision should be based solely on the evidence presented at the case. The trial also must be held in an area where the crime took place. This will help that the fairness continues. I've heard some students say, well, that would make it less fair. That's a great point of view. I would like you to elaborate on that in your notes, and maybe we can discuss it in detail later. As of right now, I'm going to give you about a minute or so to sum up this slide. Not copy, but sum up this slide in your notes. Once again, knowing all these rights are going to come in handy when it's time for you to do your activity. So please make sure you study and understand these rights like you know your name. Please understand all the rights that someone who is accused of a crime should have. Da na 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 na. Y'all don't even know that song. Y'all don't watch that show. But another right that the accused person has is the protection from double jeopardy. That means if someone is put on trial for a certain crime and the trial ends, the person cannot be tried once more for that same exact crime in that same exact instant. Let me give an example. If I was charged with murder and I was found not guilty, I was acquitted of being charged with murder of person A, I cannot be placed on trial again for the murder of person A because I was already found not guilty. If they put me on trial again, they are violating my constitutional right to be protected against double jeopardy. Point number two, if a person is convicted of a crime and then serves his or her time in jail, or if the person is acquitted, let go, like I just said, he or she cannot be put on trial a second time. Let's say I was found guilty and I went to jail. You can't just say, well, he needs more time in jail, so we're going to put him in jail again. That, again, is a violation of my constitutional right. I already served my time for the crime that I was found guilty of. You cannot make me serve more time based on whatever feelings you have. The determination of time being served will be done at a later, closer time. And once I serve that time, you can't put me back in jail because of your personal feelings or based on the heinousness of the crime as you see fit. I'll give you a minute. Sum up this slide in your notes. Make sure you understand the idea of double jeopardy. You cannot put my freedom in jeopardy again if I already was either acquitted or I already served my time. You guys have heard this phrase before. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you can Anything you say can and will be used against you. I messed it up. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be offered to you. Do you understand your rights? These rights are often called the Miranda rights. They are derived from the court case Miranda versus Arizona. Basically, it says the government does not have the power to make you testify against yourself. Once again, this goes back to the burden of proof. You don't have to help anybody convict you of a crime. You can invoke your right to remain silent. As you can hear in the Miranda rights, it says you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. So if you speak after you are read your Miranda rights, then they will use what you say against you in the court. It is in your best interest to probably not say much after they read you your rights. If you say something and they never read you your rights, your Miranda rights, then what you say will not be used, cannot be permissible in court because it is going to be excluded because you were not read your rights and therefore your constitutional right to remain silent was violated. That is why trials use evidence. If we want to convict you of a crime, we're not going to base all of our evidence based on what you say. We're going to collect our own evidence from witness statements, from physical evidence, from forensic evidence, from all kinds of other things. We're going to base it on witnesses instead of the testimony of you. Because quite honestly, it is our job, it is our burden to prove you did something. We cannot force you to prove you did something. We cannot force you to speak. That's why we have what we call the Miranda rights. It gives the accused person the right to remain silent and not testify against him or herself. I'll give you 1 minute. Go ahead and summarize this. Remember, you don't need to pause this video. This video gives you enough time to play it all the way through without having to pause it to write. I'm giving you the same amount of time that I would have given you if I were in class teaching this subject. I want to know whether you actually got the lesson that I was teaching today. Here's how you can find out. You're going to do these two short activities, and if you can do them and you can give your all into them and put your full effort into it, and you can be as descriptive as you can, then you did get the lesson. First thing I want you to do is describe and explain 4 constitutional rights that people who are accused of a crime have. What are those constitutional rights? We discussed them. What are those constitutional rights that people that are accused of a crime have? You might want to start your sentence off like this. The four constitutional rights that people who are accused of a crime have are, and you might want to continue your answer by saying, I will explain in further detail each right and explain why it's important for the accused person. The next thing that's going to help you understand, help you find out whether you understood the lesson or not, is if you can do this activity. Write a sentence using the words standard of proof, criminal, and civil. If you can write one sentence, or if you need to, go ahead and make it two sentences using all three of these key terminologies. If you can do that, and along with describe and explain the four constitutional rights people that are accused of a crime have, you understood the lesson that was being taught today. Thank you